Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video, and today I am doing my June monthly musings video. Wow, wow, wow. It has finally come, holy shit. Okay. June. June was an interesting month. It was not as much of a curveball as May was. Is probably, I don't know, by the end of June, things were starting to get better and pick up and all that jazz. But let me kind of rewind it back and kind of go through the start of the month, okay? Before I get into tarot, because by the way, this was a big tarot month for me. So I have a lot near the end of the video, of course, to talk about with that. But let's start with the beginning. Life happenings. Okay, so the school year finally ended. School year finally ended. Oh my God. It's kind of really, okay, this is a random mini rant within a thing. I find it really fucking annoying living in California where I do, where the school year basically ends in the middle of June for where I work, okay? Ends in the middle of June. But you know what, the rest of the schools literally in that same in my same city, around the same area, in the public sector and all that. You know when they get out? They get out the end of May. Literally, like the last week of May, they're out. They're gone. They're bye-bye. We are still there for like 2 or 3 weeks into June. I'm like, are you freaking serious? But anyways, yeah, half of this month was me waiting for school year to end because it's not like last year, where everything was starting to kind of go wrong. It's more that I was already mentally checked out and I just wanted the school year to be over. I just wanted to be done. You guys know. you guys have been watching me. I was struggling this school year more on the physical side of things necessarily than mental, but still, I was just tired and I was done and I wanted it to be over. So the school year did finally end after a lot of chaotic events, graduations, all these things within the school. It ended. And in all that time, even before it ended and after it ended, I was actually doing a lot of tarot. So I have a lot to talk about in the more tarot segments. I'm even going to show you parts of my tarot journal just so you can see that, yeah, there was a lot of spreads and stuff I was trying out. But besides waiting for the school year to end, there was one day in the month of June where we had... In my part of California, we really celebrate Portugal Day. And so that was a good time, and we got to celebrate that. Especially because this year in particular was the 50th anniversary of the Carnation Revolution. I'm not going to get into that on this channel. I feel like a lot of you might not care, but it's a big thing in Portuguese history. So if you look up the Carnation Revolution, that'll basically tell you most of what you need to know. But it was very significant that we celebrate it because as someone who is of Portuguese descent, right, to be very brief, it was that time where we got to be free of a dictatorship and all started to get better. So great time anyways. But I'm glad that I got to celebrate Portugal Day. I actually went. There was food. I don't remember if I took any photos. I don't think I did. So fortunately, I can't show anything. What else did I do? Oh, so because I was waiting for school year to end, school year ended. And then obviously I'm on vacation now. So that's great, right? I'm on vacation. I'm having a good time. I'm starting to let out a sigh of like relief. I'm relaxing. I'm enjoying the things that I like to do. Good for me. It's been a lot of writing, a lot of catching up on shows, just hanging out, going on walks with the hubby in the afternoon when we do Pokemon Go. we're just having a good time, you know. We even had a movie night. Maybe I'll put a photo of something that we ate from that. I don't know. But it was good stuff. And then I even also went to a wedding. I went to my cousin's wedding in June, so that was cool too. Maybe I'll post a photo of something from that. Maybe not me and the hubby, because we do have a selfie. Probably not going to post that, but maybe like, I think I took a photo of something. I don't remember, but all those things happened in the month of June, and yeah, just made life a better time. So that's life stuff. I'm going to be brief on that this time because times are good and I'm just kind of enjoying it. So let's get into other things, right? Let's get into books. Now, you would think because in the second half of the month, I finally got free time, I would have read a lot of books. But actually, no, because I don't know what it was. I guess the first half of the month was so busy. And then the second half of the month, I was starting to enjoy myself, but I was like prioritizing other hobbies and things first before reading. So yeah, I guess I didn't read as much as I initially thought I would. But I read 3 books, and we're going to start with the first one and then go into the other 2. By the way, this month also, when it comes to reading, I tried basically to read books by people I know who were part of the LGBT. Why can I not even say my own freaking culture's acronym? Okay, let me just say the queer community, okay? I try to read books by just queer creators. Okay, there we go. I fixed it. So the first one is a book that actually came out very recently, and it is this one. This is The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. Oh my God. Okay. This book, I have a lot of feelings about this book. I like this book. I like this book a lot. And I actually know Bethany. I'm not going to say I'm like besties or whatever with her, but like I know her. I've talked to her, interacted with her. That's that of that. But that doesn't influence how I feel about this book because the book itself actually had great writing. You know what I mean? How do I explain this? If you're a writer, okay, maybe if you're a fellow writer, and you know this experience, sometimes you make friends with people who are also writers, and it's exciting, it's fun, you want to support them, you want them to grow, and then you read their work, and it's not like it's necessarily bad, you know what I mean? But it's just like, I don't know, you thought it would be maybe at a higher standard or whatever, and you're just like, oh, okay, it's like this, and so you're still like kind and gentle and nice, and you know, you still support them on their journey. You just know it's like not writing that or stories that you would 100% go for, okay? Right? Like every writer person has had that kind of friendship at least once. This is not the case with Bethany's book. This is actually very good. So let me get into it. So for basis of star rating or whatever to explain this, I gave this book a 4.5 star, okay? And it is a YA fantasy, so I do want to point that out for people who, I don't know, they don't like fantasy or whatever, but it is YA, just so you know. It's not that the characters, though, at any point in time go to school, so if you're like someone who doesn't just like, you're done with the high school plot line, like they're technically high school age, but they're not in high school. It's like summertime and stuff. So there's that. But anyways, what is this book about for those who might want to know? This is a book about our main character here, whose name I believe is Venus. I don't think I got that wrong. Yep, Venus. Okay. A girl named Venus, and she lives it's like an alternative history. So it's set in Washington, D.C. You can kind of see that in the background. Alternative history where there are people who are known as, I think they actually are called witchers. Let me just double check that. But I think they're actually referred to as, witcher. Okay. She's a witcher. And so witchers in this version of Earth are not treated very nicely at all. There are a lot of people who are very discriminatory if you know how to use magic, okay? They are just not nice. And so on top of that, if you're a witcher and you also, like her, happen to be black, then you also might get racism and other bullshit attached to you. But Venus is very interesting in that she was raised by her mother to sell love potions, except doing that is very, 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 very illegal. You cannot do that. And she does it anyways because, you know, life sucks and you need money and their family's got a lot of stuff that they need to figure out, okay? But her doing that, her selling love potions, eventually gets her in trouble. And so most of this book is kind of her and her half-sister, with her half-sister, her cousin, or cousins, I think technically the other cousins there. Like, it's a whole family affair, basically, where a lot of them are just trying to dig their way out of the drama that's caused by the love potion business, and then her mother dying. So that's a big part of it too. So yeah, I feel like I condensed that as much as I could because I don't want to spoil anything. But this book was amazing. Let's talk about why. So first off, the characters are really great. They felt developed. They felt like their own people. Some of their choices were very complex, right? The things that they decided to do, they weren't always perfect. They made mistakes. It happened, right? Another good thing about this book is the world. I thought the world building in this was really, really good. I've never been to Washington, D.C., but I felt like by the end of it, I had understood a lot about how the city was shaped up, how people acted, stuff like that, okay? I also liked that the plot had a lot of different twists and turns. I liked the magic that was developed in this. I liked that the characters, by the way, had very real and scary as fuck consequences for using magic. Like, Venus basically almost dies at one point, or does technically die. It's complicated. I'm not going to spoil all of it, but like, shit happens to you if you use magic. And that's another thing. Every time she makes a love potion, she basically almost dies. So she has to, like, you know, use up other potions to try to survive again after the kickback. So there's a lot of things involved, right? The magic is very well developed though, and it's talked about, okay? The thing, I think the only reason why, to be honest with you, why I didn't rate this book a 5 versus, 4.5, which is still very good. I think the only reason why is at the very end, okay, who ended up being the real main villain of the story, that was the only thing. I felt like he was rushed, okay? I felt like he was rushed the most. I thought Bethany could have pushed that a little bit more. Like, he or whoever, I don't want to spoil too much, but the person who is, right, like, could have been in the plot a lot earlier and just had a couple more threads in there, and I think it would have been a 5-star read for me. But other than that, I do highly, highly recommend this. So if you are interested, please give this a shot. It is a big book. It's a chonker, as you can see. Like, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was almost like almost 500 pages. So it's a big book, but it's a good book. And yeah, so there's that. I'm going to move on now, though, because I feel like I was talking about this one way too long, but it's good. Okay, so get it. But next, I feel like maybe I'll just put these both together. These were the last 2 books I read. I kind of need to talk to them about them both at once because they're interconnected, okay? So the 2 last books that I read in the month of June were these 2. We have Gear Breakers and Godslayers, and they are both by Zoe Hana Mikuta, okay? And I have interesting thoughts. I will say, right off the bat, I'm going to say I thought I was going to rate, I guess, both of these books higher than I did. But they're still they were still interesting reads, but it's probably not like as big as someone thinks. So for interest's sake, Gear Breakers I rated exactly 4 stars, and Godslayers I rated 3.5. And I'm gonna explain why. So basically, how do I explain the plot of this? I think it's technically set in an alternate futuristic world, like our world, but now for some reason the part where all these characters take place is called Godolia. And basically, to try to give you like a short comp idea, if you took like Pacific Rim but then tied in like things like Evangelion, like if you know what I'm talking about from anime, with like, I'm trying to think if there's like another YA book that this is kind of like, maybe a little bit of like how fucked up the world is stakes from Hunger Games, maybe not anything related to like what is it, like a stadium arc like that. It's not Hunger Games like that. It's more of just like how grimdark the world is. It's kind of closer to that, okay? So Gear Breakers is about these two, okay? These two. We have Sona, who is what's known as a wind-up pilot. So she's basically the one who can connect with these, with the wind-ups. That's what these are called, right? Basically almost like Transformers, or like in Pacific Rim, you know, the giant robots that they make. It's basically like that. So Sona is a wind-up pilot. Eris is a part of the Gear Breakers, which are a group of individuals who are resisting against a government of Godolia. And the reason why is because Godolia uses these wind-ups to basically go around and just like fucking shit up for everybody. Like they're just there to kind of be assholes. And the whole government is ruled by them, right? About like the program for the wind-ups, and the Zeniths are the one in control, and they're just making everything a terrible time for everybody. So yes, this is a YA sci-fi, just so you know. Again, if you're not a fan of YA, it's okay, you can skip this, but if you do like sci-fi, this might be something that you might be interested in. Okay, and I try to just give a very overview of it, because I don't want to spoil too much, but let me start by talking about what I did think was good in this one, and then going into the sequel, okay? I did think that it was nice that the sapphic romance is showing up, that there was a lot of sapphic characters that showed up, and that they weren't the only sapphic couple in this. I'm not going to spoil it. They're more like minor characters, but there's like other sapphic individuals in the series, okay? There's more than one. I did think the overall concept and world idea were really strong with both of these, okay? And the writing itself, she does a lot of things where she's like concise, but at the same time she's pretty with her writing. It's also written in first person present tense. If you're not a fan of this probably won't be for you, but I liked that, so that was good for me. But let's talk about the things I wasn't as thrilled about, okay? For the bad, or bad, I guess. It's not like really bad, but you know. For the bad-ish things is that I felt like at a lot of times there were too many side characters. And that's weird for me to say, because I always like characters up the wazoo. I like books that have a lot of characters. I like books that have interesting histories and you got to pay attention to people and all this shit. I normally like that. For some reason with these books, I thought there were too many characters, too many. And then some of them kept, at some point in time, I'm not going to spoil who exactly, but like a lot of people started to die. A lot were starting to die. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I didn't care about them anyways. Like, you know, it wasn't as big of a deal for me, okay? And the reason why I thought they were too many characters is because they just didn't seem distinct enough. I'm like, okay, if you're going to give me this big plot with all these people, You need to make them feel more alive. I kind of felt like they were starting to become more alive, actually, by this point. If they were characters that had, like, stuck around, like, they weren't all dead. Like, those characters started to feel more alive by the end. But in this book, it just felt like too much. I don't know how to explain that. So maybe this one was slightly better in character, and this one not as much. But anyways, the first book, I had issues with Eris's ex. She had an ex who was this guy, Milo, and he was just kind of a dick. He was, I was just not a fan of him. I was just like, you're so annoying. Get out of here. And so that kind of like put it down for a little bit. And then the other thing with this is that sometimes the dialogue, like some of the people in this just felt like they were too edgelord. I don't know how else to explain it in that. They just felt like, it's like, girl, you need to chill with some of the things that they were saying. So that's why I was kind of like, okay. Other things I really liked overall in both of these books is I like the fight scenes. And this book had a crazy cliffhanger. So cliffhanger in this one was really good. So like fight scenes, cliffhanger, all good. But yeah, the characters and some of the weird dialogue they said was a consistent issue. And it kind of carried over into the second book. Because in the second book, it just like wraps up things that went on in this book. Where they basically made a major attack against the Zeniths to the point where there's only one left. But then that's where they kind of like fell off the rails, and I don't know. Okay. With the second book, the reason why it fell down half a star for me in comparison to the first one is that there were a couple things that were a little off. The first is that it started with this book, but it continued into this one where it had an issue with God. Okay. And I'm going to mention what I mean by that. Basically, in this society, they're trying to make us believe that the wind-ups in question, ordinary people in this world, are supposed to see them as gods. And they talk about that a lot. And they say phrase like, God's damn it, and hell's this, and deity's that. But it seemed a little weird and disjointed that they were trying to shove religion into this book. Because it's like, okay, you're saying that the wind-ups are gods, but I don't see people revering them as gods. So how is that true? It just seemed like a weird, I don't know, the religion thread that it was trying to weave into this just kind of went downhill. Like, it just didn't make sense, and it doesn't make even more sense like when you get to this one. So that was kind of weird. At first, these two were really strong, but then in this book, I felt like something in the relationship was off. Like, I didn't believe like what had happened from this one to this one. Based on everything that was going on, they just felt more disjointed. Like, they're together at the end, but there's a lot of things in between that I just didn't fully believe their vibe, okay? And with Sona, there's this other character that's introduced in this book named Enyo, and he and her, their little whatever was going on with them, like they weren't necessarily a real relationship, but she claimed she loved him, like I guess almost like a brother or something. I didn't believe their relationship or whatever they were at all. I did not believe them. I was just like, what are you talking about? This guy literally like tortured you and like did all this stuff to your brain, and you're saying, oh, I love him. I'm like, no, you don't. It was just so weird. So by the end of this one, I was just like, man, I don't believe half of this tension with some of these characters. So that fell down a little bit. Really sad because, yeah, I was suckered into the series by the Pacific Rim mentions, and it just wasn't what I wanted it to be, but still good. I'd still recommend these if you like sci-fi and just want a fun, chaotic time. But yes, that's what I'm going to say on those. Okay, we're going to move on from that now. We are done with books. We are going to go into tarot, guys. I have a lot to talk about with tarot. Let's start with my tarot journal, because that'll help explain things a little. Maybe a small bit. Okay, in the month of June, to start. Hello, this is my page. Okay, in the month of June, my card of the month was the Nine of Wands, which I kind of interpreted as making it through the best I can. And you know what? That was pretty accurate, because especially those middle, like the beginning and middle part of the month where it was so long, I just felt like I was like slogging through. Definitely very Nine of Wands energy. I just wanted things to end, guys. I wanted work to be over. And so it finally did. And as you can see, I used a lot of decks this month. So I'm going to show those and more in a second. But yeah, my card of the month was a Nine of Wands. And what, as you can see here, like I have a lot of junk. But in the month of June, I did a lot of spreads. So as you can see, I did my usual week ahead spread. But then I had a temperance spread that I made up myself. I had a 10 card reading, a tarot spread in practice, the queer tarot. You're going to see more of these if you didn't watch this, but I also had one for the ocean tarot. I got the Asphodelian Mythos tarot during that month. So I also recorded the interview I did with it, and then I made up my own moon spread. So as you can see, I did a lot of spreads. Parts of my journal are not 100% complete, but I'll show a little bit. So this is my temperance spread. I made a pattern that looks like this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And a better way to show that is like this. And it's basically just a spread where you're trying to figure out how to balance out your energy. So number 1 is you in the moment. What sets you in alignment? What sets you out of alignment? What will place you back in balance, and what will place you out of balance. So this is kind of just like a check-in thing. And you know, it really worked. I did this for my tarot meetup. I created a spread, did it because a lot of them, we were deep diving with the major arcana. And so this was just a chance to work with part of it. And yeah, it was good. And so I wanted to highlight that. I did do this. Oh, that was my 10 card reading. Not going to get into that one right now. Let me see what else I want to show. Some of this is not finished. Okay, and this is my other spread. This was my moon spread. So, hello. I was trying to make like a shape of a moon, kind of vaguely. But this is my moon spread. You can see it like that. Maybe. I don't know. I like to use what's the word? Gel pens. So that's why it's like that. And I don't know if this is just burning people's eyes. You probably can't read this correctly. So I'll just like, I'll read it. But basically for this moon spread, first you have 1, it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have you in the present, your conscious versus your unconscious, your intuition versus your confusion, what will lead you out, what will lead you astray, and your future outcome. So this was also, once again, for my tarot meetups in person. So we got a chance to do this spread. I made it up. There's that. And that was another thing from the month of June. But as you can see by looking at the decks, let's talk about what I actually used tarot deck wise in the month of June. So first off, I'm going to start with the oracles because they're going to be the shortest for me to talk about, to be honest. I technically cheated this month. I do a thing where normally I do only 4 tarot decks and 1 oracle. And I kind of cheated because I had 2. I had the Seashell Oracle and the Sea Melodies. I don't know why. At the beginning of the month, I thought, oh, I want beachy vibes. I want beachy decks. Let me get this one. When it's only like, all the backs are the same, as you can see, of the Sea Melodies. It's just these little like keyword things that really change, okay? I thought that this one tied with the Seashell Oracle. would be good to use during the month. Okay? I thought these would be good to use during the month. You know what the hilarious thing is, though? I didn't use either of these fairly much through the whole month. And you might be wondering, well, why? Why didn't I feel compelled to use these? And I think what it was during the first half of the month, like before the school year ended, I did use these a couple times. But I think the mistake I made was that, well, this one was easy to just like literally pull one and go. You know, I didn't have to think about this one too long. But the thing with the Seashell Oracle, and I've said this before, is that I think this style of deck is better for me. Maybe I'll zoom this in. Sorry. I just realized that like it's a little far. There we go. Sorry. Okay. A little closer. Anyways, what I realized for me was that this deck, because it has 3 keywords on the bottom, something happens in my brain where it kind of like, I noticed it kind of like short circuits, and I get like keyword overload. I don't know how else to explain it, but as that. I get like keyword overload, and it's just a lot at once. So at first I thought, oh man, let me try to pull, 3 cards of this, and it just didn't work out. So then I was starting to realize, well, maybe I just need to do one. And then like the school year ended, and I kind of just abandoned doing like Oracle. I don't know what it was. I think actually part of it is just that I've noticed this. I use oracles to help me get through the week. Like it gives me like, what energy do I need for this day, right? Like, well, how do I need to balance my time out? And because I wasn't at work anymore, I guess I found that I didn't need to use an oracle. I don't know why that is. I don't know why. Just is what it is. So Sea Melodies and Seashell Oracles, still nice. For some reason, I just didn't use them very long. But anyways, on to the next. What else do I have here? Oh, I used, for one spread, literally just one, guys. I used this deck all of one time. This is the Mermaid Tarot. This is Llewellyn's Mermaid Tarot. As you can see, it's on their nasty gloss stuff. They're newer, glossier cardstock, right? I don't know when they switched to this one compared to some of the decks I have in my collection, but I'm not a fan of it. I've avoided a lot of their decks because of this. But anyways, the Mermaid Tarot. This is a deck that, again, I thought I was going to use more during the month of June, because at the start of the June, for some reason, again, I was getting into a lot of mermaid, beachy vibes. I wanted things that reminded me of that. I wanted to be reminded of it. I wanted to try to use those things. But I literally used this deck for one reading. It was 1 week ahead spread. And then I didn't go back to it. I don't know. I think I love the diversity in this deck. I love like how deep in parts of this deck goes. But I don't know what it is, why I just didn't want to go back. Maybe it's because like I know the cardstock's not my favorite. It's just, it doesn't beg for me to use it. Or maybe it's just like I have to deep dive with this deck more before I attempt to use it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I only use this deck once. So that's the Mermaid Tarot. It's been out a while, by the way, so anyone could get this. It's mass market. Oh, I should have said Sea Melodies is mass market, I think, through, US Games. Seashell Oracle is not. That is an indie deck. So just keep those in mind, back of head, however you want to see that, okay? Next, what else did I use? Oh, the White Sage Tarot. I love having this as a mini deck. I don't know what it is. I do like this deck. I didn't think I would like this deck when I initially bought it because, let's be honest, guys, it is a pip deck, right? And I don't even think it's a pips with feelings 100%. Like, some of the cards make attempts at being a pip with feeling, and then other ones are not. And I don't know why I'm just shuffling it. I guess it's because I like to shuffle this deck. Anyways. Oh, and this is like my least favorite magician ever. I don't know what the hell is happening here. This is the one card in the deck I'm like, I don't like. Anyways. What's interesting, though, is besides me saying, oh, I don't think I'm going to like this deck, right? When I first got it. I oddly enough love this deck, and I don't know why. Well, okay, I kind of know. So, like the Mermaid Tarot that you just saw, I only use this deck once to do a week ahead reading, but because this was a tin deck, I always kind of have this deck like rolling around in my bag just in case I do a reading. So, I guess I took it around a lot, even if I didn't use it a lot. And this deck, man, I will say, this deck will trick you. Because I did a reading with this deck, and it gave me a very swords-like reading. It told me straight up what was going to go on. And more than that, it was very accurate. It was like scary accurate how well this read. And I wonder if that's what it is. Like, I wonder if this is one of those decks that secretly is a really good reader, but people would like miss out on it or not think much of this deck because it is pips. You know what I mean? But it was just wild how well it read. So yeah, it's a cute one. It's not like, oh, I love this Queen of Wands for some reason though. It's a cute one. I know this wouldn't be a deck for everybody, but I will say this deck was ready to tell me that shit was happening. And so now I know it's an accurate reader. And so that also means I might use it for other readings in the future. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the White Sage Tarot. What else did I use in the month of June? I used this deck. It says Oceanum Arcane, but this is the Ocean Tarot. This is by, where's her name? Right there. Taylor Bryn Holquist Todd. You know, she's the one who has a lot of different decks. She did an Earth deck. Was there a Fire one? I don't remember. And there's like a Mythology deck, a Cat deck, a dog deck, maybe. I don't know. She has a lot. But anyways, these are the edges. This is indie. These are the backs. And this deck. I had a better time with this deck this year. I tried to use this deck last year in June, and for whatever reason, it was kind of mean to me. It was not about it. So I guess I needed distance from it. But this year, good, not bad. You're going to see eventually a video of this, but there's a spread in here in the back called a Navigator spread. I did that spread during the month of June, and I filmed it, and I actually liked it. It gave me some like good information, I think. So I feel better about this deck now. I don't know why. It just didn't seem to like me when I first worked with it, or just very swords-like. It was just mean. Like that's the thing. Like the White Sage Tarot, was accurate, but it wasn't 100% mean. So maybe this is more like a swords, cups-ish kind of deck. But this felt like a very swords deck when I first got it, and so I was just like, what the heck? But now, I don't know. It just read nicely. It seemed good. And I love all the sea creatures that are depicted. to be honest, I've seen more of this creator's decks, and just because of the art style and stuff in general, or maybe because I don't always like notice now that I reach as much for a ton of animal decks, I think this is like the one deck of hers for me. Unless she does like something completely different in the future and not so much these animal like decks, or like, I don't know. Her style is a little dark because she does have a myth deck that I know is not as much animals, but I'm not called to use that. So I guess this is just the one deck of hers for me. And it just happens to be because it's like the ocean. So yeah, that's the Ocean Tarot. It is a nice one. And yeah, I had a good time with it, but I used it again. I used it for a week ahead reading. I did a spread from this in it. And that was kind of it. I didn't do much more than that. But yeah. Okay, next. Ooh, yes. I got to use the Queer Tarot this month. It was a fun one, guys. It was a good one. I am obsessed with this deck. It is, I will admit, it's on the big side. And you guys can tell, look, it's like dwarfing my hand. I struggle a little bit. Not going to lie. Because it's like slightly longer than tarot size, and feels like it might be slightly fatter than tarot size, but I don't know that 100%. But these are the beautiful backs, so colorful, and these are the beautiful fronts. And this is, as you can see, just RWS clone, but it's queer. All the people featured in this deck are real queer people that the creators drew. You know, they had models and they drew them into the RWS form. So it is beautiful, it is diverse, and it is amazing. I'm here for it. Okay, it's a good time. I had great readings too with this. I use this for a couple of things. I even used this to read for somebody else, and that helped her out too. It was like a coworker. So this deck was great. I would use this again. I don't know when I will use this again, only because it's so brightly colored that I feel like I have to be in that vibe or in that time of year. Like this summertime would be good, but currently as it is, I just don't know if I want to anymore this year. We'll see. We'll see, you know. But this is such a good one. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. And the cardstock, I will say, the only thing, like, I like the texture, the smoothness of it, but it's got like a roughness on the edge, and a slight lip to it. So it's like not 100% great, and it is thicker. So people who like to riffle shuffle, this probably wouldn't be a good riffle shuffler, just so you know. But yeah, I think this deck is so beautiful. I use this also. I did that spread. I did a tarot spread in practice where I basically took the goal spread that's in the guidebook of this, and I filmed that. I think that's already on my channel at the time of me filming this. And yeah, it's good shit. So I would recommend this one if you are also queer, and love fun rainbow colors. But the size of it, for those with smaller hands, it is pushing it. But because it's an RWS clone too, I argue you could read this for pretty much anyone and have a pretty accurate reading. So Queer Tarot, yes, enjoyed this. And finally, the last deck I used in the month of June. Listen, this is the repeat. Sorry, okay? Sorry, not sorry. This is my channel. This is my deck. I can repeat this, okay? This is the Spark and Pen Tarot. This is an indie deck. Oh, Queer Tarot, I guess, is mass market. Yeah, forgot to say this. But this is an indie deck, okay? These are the backs. As the greatest linen cardstock. You guys already seen this. I talked about this deck in May because guess what? I used it in May. But guess what? I didn't want to stop using it in June. So I just kept at it. I love this deck. I love the colors of this deck. I thought it was very on brand for Pride Month. I just had a good time. Had a good time with this. And this thing reads so accurately, too. It just tells me exactly what I need to hear. I've used this for a lot of different readings for myself now, especially the ones that were deep. I use this a lot basically to keep with my Major Arcana series that I was doing with my tarot meetups in person. And it was just brilliant. I had a good time with this one. Do recommend this. This used to be out of print, by the way. This is back in print. You can get it on Etsy. And I hope if you like the style and stuff that you do, I will say, and you probably already saw by me flipping through these cards, is that this deck does have a bit of nudity. So if you're someone who doesn't always like that, like me, you might not like this deck. For some reason, I do in this deck, though. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the style that's drawn in or something, where I'm like okay with it, I guess. But I don't know. This is just a good one, and I didn't want to stop using it, so that is why it's back. And yeah, beautiful colors. I don't know. And I will say now, okay, for those who are going to get on my case, I am not using this deck in July. I chose a different deck. Chose different decks for July. But I didn't want to give this up in June. So my crush with this deck continued. And I just continued to use it. And I'm not ashamed of that, okay? I had a good time. We had a good time. We're doing good. Is this the only card that's reversed now? I'm just gonna flip that back. But yeah, great deck. And so, with that being said, oh man, I am going to head out because I've got stuff to do today. But I hope you enjoyed hearing about how my June was. Overall, better. I'm just living my best life right now. And I will continue to do tarot stuff. I will continue to read, write, hopefully to do some art, and just have a good time until I have to go back to work near the end of July, and that's going to suck. But for now, everything's good. And yeah, I will see you guys all again next time. Bye.